Hi everybody. So I just want to tell a brief story about my life and how I got here. Okay? Because I don't want people to kind of misunderstand me and think that I was born like this. No, I wasn't. When I say I was born like this, but I was born knowing what I know, and that my life was easy. No. My earliest memory that I remember is my grandmother sitting in our driveway with my sister on one side and me on the other, daring my father to run us over, because my father had thrown my mother's stuff out and wanted to divorce my mother, right? So my grandmother was daring him to run us over because she was trying to stop him from leaving. That's my earliest memory. And then, of course, my mom left, and eventually my mom took us back to our dad. My dad had married another woman who was then my stepmother, except that this woman used to also be our help, our house help. If you're not familiar with that term, it's a nanny, but it's more than a nanny. It's like the house help is the only one I can say. So this one was then my mother, right? And so I don't know what it was, but she was so mean to me. Not beyond me, she was wicked to me. Imagine cutting habanero pepper, which is a yellow pepper, and putting it in a child's eyes and her private area, and beating her till she bled. See, I have scars everywhere. Like if you see my face here, there's a scar here. I have scars all over my head from where I was beat. And this went on for about, maybe I don't know how old I was when we went back there, and I don't know how old I was when I finally ran away from home with my sister. But it went on for years, She would say that I was a witch. She would say that I killed her children. She would send me out at night. I remember one time she had me wait for my father. I was sitting on the front out of the house because she had me wait for my father to feed my father when my father got home. And my father didn't make it home till about maybe 1 a.m. And I probably was about 7 years old then. So I did not have a childhood, the kind of childhood a lot of kids dream about. I didn't have that. My childhood was filled with trauma, one trauma after another. But another thing I could remember when I was little was I remember kneeling, because we were Catholics. I remember kneeling and praying the rosary because I was born with an innate knowledge of God. I was born knowing that God is. So I just always, even as a child, without being aware of what I was doing, I was just always drawing strength from God. And so eventually, me and my sister, we ran away. We walked about 5 miles. I remember going to school. She had beat me that day, gave me a big old gash on my head. My whole uniform was soaking blood because I had to walk to school. And so when the principal saw me, she passed out because I was covered in blood. And I'm telling you, I was less than 10 years old. And then eventually, we ran away from home. My dad never looked for us. And the next time I saw my dad, he was dead, lying in state. Okay? And so after that, we were sent to live with my auntie. And then after that, my mother eventually came back into our lives. But, the damage to me has already been done. So at that point, I was just looking for, where I belonged, This was the childhood I had. My grandmother was my saint because I didn't really realize how much influence she had on my life until I became an adult. She was that stabilizing force, that safe place for me. And I remember when she died, that was the only one my mom took to go see her when she died in the hospital. But, as an adult, my own mother also rejected me. My father rejected me, because he didn't look for us. He wasn't even there. All that time this woman was hitting on me, where was my father? He wasn't there. He was out partying, doing shit. And my mother, I know she had her own pain, she had her own hurt, but she just didn't understand me because as a child, I was taught that life is hard. And so I naturally leaned on God and I kind of pulled myself away from life. And that's why when I look back, I think, how did I survive all those things that I went through? How did I come out of it still keeping my innocence, still keeping my childlike faith in God and in life and in people? How did I do that? And I feel it's because my mind, God had his hand around my mind and my heart, so that even as though those things was going on around me, he didn't allow it to poison me. And even right now, I don't remember a lot of my childhood. They call it traumatic amnesia. I don't even remember anything about my childhood except pockets of events. But I do remember the people that played in that event. People that abused me sexually, people that touched me inappropriately. I still remember all those people, but I don't really remember the details of the event. And I think that the reason why I remember those people but not the event is because the event is not necessary. It's not necessary for me to remember the event. It's necessary for me to remember the people so I can forgive them, so that their hold over my life can be broken. And so I remember all the people and I forgive them, and eventually I had to get out of my mother's house, because my mother, God bless her, she did the best she could, but I had to get out. And so I married this guy to get out of home, moved to the United States, and I knew he was bad for me, but I didn't have the strength to leave him. Because if I left him and the whole world sees that my marriage is over, then that will reinforce my mother's views that I wasn't worthy. You know what my mother asked my ex-husband when he came to ask for my hand in marriage? He asked her, what did you see in her? That's how little my own mother thought of me. This makes me want to cry, but that's how little my own mother thought of me. So, but I didn't want to leave the relationship, because I felt like if I left it, then that would reinforce the idea that I wasn't good enough. That would reinforce the idea that I was a failure. So I stayed in that relationship until he himself, by the grace of God, forced me to leave, and I left. And it was after I left that relationship that my life began. That was when I shaved my hair, because I thought, you know what, I'm not going to leave. I think I was 29 at the time, but I thought I wasn't going to live by anybody's standards of me anymore. I was going to live only by God's standards of me, because God has been the one constant thing in my life. When I say God, I say the power, the source, love, that light that flows from the primal force, the creator. That light has been the one constant thing in my life. Everything else has changed. People have come and go. People's opinion of me have changed, but God has been constant. That light has been constant. And that was when I decided, you know what? I'm going to stop living for what people think of me. I am going to start living a life that is true to me. And that's how I got here. By removing myself from the world and tapping into God and just relying on Him for sustenance, for love, for everything. And in doing that, recognizing the God in me. I'm human, so the pain is still there. It's not easy to forget it, because we're all humans and we are made to relate to each other. But I don't hold unforgiveness against them, because a long time ago I made a decision. I'm going to feel. I don't want to harden my heart, because if I harden my heart, I'm not going to heal from my own pain. So I want you guys to understand that it took me a long time to get here. And I'm not yet where I need to be, but I guarantee you I'm not where I was. And I hope this helps somebody today. I don't know where you were in your life right now, but I want you to know that as long as you have faith and hope, as long as your life is anchored on whatever God is to you, on light and love, on Jesus, who is the lover of my soul, as long as you are anchored there, just stay there. Forget what goes on around you, what people do, what life does. Stay anchored there, and you'll be fine. You hear me?